Hello, welcome back to another video, and today we have the tutorial for the 3x3 full flush seamless glass door right here with the sexy 480 block layout, which is like inspired by... I had the idea for this layout in a dream. It's weird. I also had like the multiple ideas for this, like this circuit also in a dream, so this is like shoutouts to my dreams from like a month ago. And yeah, let's just jump into the tutorial because I just recorded like 30 minutes without actually recording, so I was just talking to nothing for half an hour and I'm triggered. So yeah, so before we start anything, there are like two disclaimers. This thing breaks if you have a single player world running Forge. So this worked on a server. I had my Forge mod pack running, and then I was building it on a server synergy with which runs paper, I think, and then everything worked fine. Then I copied it to single player, and everything broke. For some reason, Forge fucks up the timing of this piston, and it will just break everything. And then it took me a week to figure out it was Forge, because then I just installed vanilla, or like right now I'm running vanilla with Optifine. And this works, so don't run single player Forge when building this or firing this because it breaks. I guess building is fine, but firing will break it. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the thing. So you need a 3x10 hole, which is 7 deep, but you don't need any 3x10 hole, which is 7 deep. You're going to need a 3x10 hole, which is directional and double locational. It used to be 8 times locational, so please don't murder me as hard as you would usually. I want to murder my... No, whatever. So there are two locational spots and a directional tape serp part. So this right here is directional. As you can see, this does extend both, and this one just doesn't extend at all. So this torch is on the east, like on the I guess west side on the thing, facing east. So just check if this works. This is gonna have to be on your long line of the hole. And then the two directionals are this point right here, where these two pistons are stacked on top of each other, and we want the bottom one to fire. If the top one fires, there's nothing you can do about it. We have the same situation up here, but we can fix that with a node block. But we can't fix it with a node block here for reasons which I'll explain later. And then the other locational part is this dust right here with the triple. So if we just fire this, the front two pistons will extend. But over here, for example, the bottom one will do that, but the top one will do a full double. This won't work. You need this thing. Otherwise, it won't work. So yeah. So once you've done your research on if you are running Forge in single player and are on the correct directionality and double locationality, you can finally dig your 3x10 hole, which is 7 deep, including the floor. And yeah, let's look at what you also need. You're gonna need this stuff right here. So 18 torches, 44 dust, 17 repeaters, 34 stickies, 23 normals, 5 redstone blocks, 23 comparators, and a toggled input, so a lever or a T flip-flop and a button, and you will figure this out, I think. 23 droppers, 30 hoppers, 4 cauldrons, water, a furnace, and 3 node blocks, 2 detector rails, 2 power rails, 1 detector rail, and a tripwire hook. You'll figure out what can be replaced. This furnace could be a redstone block, and then this tripwire could be a trap chest. You're smart enough to figure it out yourself, right? 2 either iron or gold pressure plates. Wood works, I think, but there's some timing issues, and I haven't tested it, so just use iron. 3 fences and a composter. This composter doesn't need to be a composter. This composter is just here for resource optimization. In theory, you could also just use a hopper. So if you are in a version before composters, use a hopper. Or if you don't care about resources, you can also just use a hopper. And yeah, just, you know. 92 building blocks because... yeah, 92 building blocks because I said so. And then 2 sand, 8 slabs. If you want to color code them, use like these amount of color coding. The red is the input block, orange is the bottom tape clock thing, brown is the bottom triple piston extender, purple is the top and bottom one ticking, blue is the firing on the opening, and then yellow is the tape on the opening, and then cyan is the top and lime is the side. And then of course 9 glass and like 39 building blocks for the doorway. The doorway, some of it needs to be pushable, some of it needs to be solid, some of it needs to, I'll point that out. You'll figure this out. This is hopefully not the first redstone tutorial you've watched. And then this. 36 normal items and 5 unstackables. Yeah, so about this, right? You're gonna need 9 minecart chests, and then 3 minecart hoppers, and then a boat. And then these 2 TNT minecarts and these 5 furnace minecarts can be anything. I just tried to color code them as much as possible. So yeah, just 7 minecarts more than like 3 hoppers and 9 chests. So 9 chests, 3 hoppers, 7 of any, and a boat. And then if you want to build this in survival or creative and don't have access to world edit, or are not admin in your single player world for whatever reason, or not admin on your vanilla server or realm, I guess, you need to get this stuff as well. So some blocks, some rails, another minecart, a soul sand, a flower pot, a piston, and a cobblestone wall, and a chest, I think. But yeah, I'll point this out when we get there. It's gonna take like an hour till we get there, so let's just start it, right? So once you've got everything of that and your hole, which is double locational, directional, not forge, blah, don't, if I see any comment like, hey, it doesn't work, and then it's like, oh, I'm using forge, I'm like going to block you. So yeah, your doorway is gonna be right here, so 6 from the bottom, and then 2 from the left, 3 from the right, 5 from the top. And your input block is gonna be right here, and well, middle, I guess. No, 4 from the right, and then your we're not gonna start with the layout because we're actually gonna just we're gonna start with the layout. Ignore what I said. So we want 9 pistons right here. That's our bottom triple, and then you want your door blocks. Or like 1 slice of your door blocks, because the smart, like the cautious one for under you will have realized that 39 door blocks is actually not like the usual 36 you need, because 9999. So we need an extra 3 blocks down here, because these will get slide out with the tape. The tape actually makes this layout work the way I want it to work. So yeah, you're gonna have a tape like this. These 9 glass are your 9 glass in the door, but they are off shifted so hard, as you can see. So here we have our double thing, which is actually right there, and then on this side we're gonna have a grabby piston and then a pushing over piston like this. So that's our tape, and then we're gonna start off with actually this side of the tape, because this side is completely independent because it works off of a bud. So we're gonna have a sticky piston facing downwards with a cauldron, and we're gonna need a water bucket. So that gets read by a comparator into a dust, into a block with a torch to another block. This block is actually the one furnace. If you have the resources, you can also just place a redstone block right here, but I'm like resourceful, so I place a furnace with a comparator right there, and just place any item in there, I guess. So that extends, and then we place a sticky piston right here with our 1 detector rail to redirect that. And what this does is it's about a tape corner, so if a block gets pushed to here, it just pushes that back and everything resets. So that's nice. So we don't need to worry about getting inputs, like distributing the signal across everything, because this side will now work independently. And then for this side, we only need to clock these 2 pistons. And because of this, we only need to clock 1 block, which is so yeah. We're gonna So what we are gonna do is start off by powering the input block and place a torch on the side, and then place a hopper clock on top of that with 12 items. That's 10, then 12. So 12 items in there, and then you're gonna place a piston here and then read that with a thing. So what this does is it's a custom length falling edge. So if we just power this, this will stay on for I think 10 and 11 and a half items or something. And then it won't do anything if we turn it back on again. So this could in theory deliver like a 4-minute pulse or whatever the limit is. So yeah, that's nice. And then just a dust going into a block with a 2-tick, and then a block, a torch, and then a stick piston grabbing that. So if we just leave this, you can see that this will clock 7 times, and that's everything we need. We need 6 for this thing, because, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're gonna need this one to fire brown, which won't matter in the end game. So on top of this is just a thing with 2 torches, and then, yeah, place that back down. So if we fire this once again, we will see that this fires the tape 7 times, and the 7th one will get cancelled by brown, so this will still be here, and, well, this will be stuck like this because brown cancels the final pushing over. Speaking of brown, let's get to that, I guess. So we have a line of dust right here, and then a... Okay, so here we go with the end, with the bullshit. So we need a 7-station item loop in here, or a 6-station, 7-station item loop. So our first dropper will be here, facing into this block. Our second dropper will be here, facing upwards. Our third dropper is actually this one. Our fourth is this facing upwards. Our fifth will be the hopper on top of this. Our sixth will be this one, and then it will reset into the other thing. So you connect this into there with a comparator on top, and then this facing into the comparator. And then this facing into that dust, and then this just facing into there, and this facing into there. Replace the 2-tick, replace this dust, actually place the dust right there. And now we're gonna drop in our first mine carts. So one there, one there, and one there. These two are actually required. And this one right here is just a safety thing. It's not required in theory. It's not required because the dropper was spit on top of this hopper, and then this hopper will suck. But in case like a player is standing right here, it would pick up the item and it would break everything. So yeah, let's just place the thing right there. It's better, and then cut the signal off from connecting because we want this pointed to there. In theory, if you're 1.16, this could be a target block, and then you don't need this block. But yeah, about that. So what do we have here? Well. If we reset these and this and fire this again, we will get... I forgot to place that. So if we place a shovel in this, or definitely an unstackable item in this one, right? Because this is 3 dust. If we fire this now with an item in there, actually, you will see that we get to this point. Yay, the bottom fired. It cancelled the pushing over on this on the 7th one, and everything just reset into here. Perfect. So yeah, that's brown. And you can see like the entire brown orange thing just fits into this corner of like 3x3x2, and it's insane how efficient the space is. I gotta pat myself on the back for that one. Anyways, so how do we get to the other stuff right here? Because there's gonna be a slider right here, and as you can see, the signal is like kind of running into a dead end right here. There's also no real way to like get it from here. So what I decided to end up doing is our first proper minecart. So we're just gonna place a minecart. This can be any minecart, but I just decided to use TNT because color coding minecarts, you don't have many options. So this thing won't blow up if you don't do anything bullshittery. So iron pressure plate on top of that. This iron pressure plate will power this piston, which will grab this cauldron with water inside of it, and that will power this falling edge right here, which is actually purple. And because that doesn't point into that block, we need a comparator right there, which we will get to in around an hour. So if we just if we assume ground fires, this will extend, the minecart will extend into the pressure plate, extending this, and when this turns off, the minecart will fall, and then this powers like a falling edge. Everything neat. And then for firing the last part, because remember this right here is your floor, we can't actually have another line of dozens right here because we need to power pistons inside the doorway, so we need to power the floor. So there are torches here, which is also why this is a comparator 1 tick, so this will fire. And then this is actually a comparator, because this goes into there. And then this goes to here, and into here, and into here, here, here. And this goes into here for that one. And into here for firing this position. And yeah, now we get the full extension. If I just reset this real quickly. So now that everything is reset, we will get the full extension and the tape. Or we don't, because I'm retarded. So I forgot to cut this off, because this needs to be cut off. Lol. So obviously that was a stupid mistake. This item should get back into here. And now everything will work. 3, 4, 5, 6, cancel, falling edge, everything fires. Yay, so that's the bottom done. Yeah, well, I wish. So before I do anything, right, so down here there will be dark blue. Dark blue will fire. So everything is dependent on this slider, right? So brown fires the slider, and the slider will power everything in the top. And on the opening, the brown won't actually fire because, well, nothing happens if I do this, right? So we're gonna do a falling edge. So when this comparator turns off from the items all leaving, we're gonna unlock this burnout, which will then power this sticky piston with a redstone block. So if we just kill that and now turn this off, you will see that this is now our firing on the opening, because the slider will fire independently, and we don't care about these 9 pistons on the opening because there is no glass in the storage and the tape doesn't need to fire. So that's how that's dark blue. That's just how we fire it on the other edge. So now it's actually time to leave the bottom alone. I know this comparator is still a mystery, and there are like, what, all of these entities I've promised to you. We'll get to that later. So we just pushed up a dummy block. Just any block. I use green glass because it's part of the green circuit and it's a pusher block, so it's glass. And then there are 3 pistons, and there's your 3 door blocks, and then there's 3 pistons facing downwards. And that's the top limit of your door. And then, as well as that, this is your ceiling, and then there's like 3 sticky pistons, well, triple piston extender facing downwards here. Just wanted to mention that. And then behind these 3 stickies are another set of triples facing into the doorway. And that's your layout, basically. So we're going to continue with the top. The top is going to be receiving a signal from the bottom slider via this minecart. Again, like down here, we're going to have a minecart being pushed into this iron trapdoor. So that's the only 2 minecarts I initially wanted to use, and then, well, stuff kept popping up, especially like, well, bottom purple, but we'll get to there. So inside of this block is gonna be a minecart. which again color coded. It can be any minecart. I just like to use a TNT minecart for purposes beyond your understanding. There are none really. So push that into the corner of the fences, and you can remove these two fences. I just like to keep them there because then no one can touch the thing. And great, I can't place them back. Okay, there we go. You can remove these two, they are needed, but I'm gonna keep them. So we don't want this TNT minecart to go further up, and because if it goes further up, it will go back down and hit the pressure plate when going down, and that will fuck up a lot. So place a slab, and it will hit the edge of the slab, fire the pressure plate, and then fall back down, and then won't do anything again. So this pressure plate is gonna fire this dropper, and this dropper is gonna spit its item into this dropper. So yeah, we're gonna read this dropper with a slab right there into a block, and then dust, and then a 3-tick repeater into there. So that's the extension of the bottom triple and the middle triple. The top triple will actually extend with this dropper, powering this dust right here over this comparator right there, and that's gonna just point into another dropper right here. So if we just give this an item and give that an item, and then we fire that, come on, you can see we get like the double extension. And then we are gonna add a falling edge to this. So place a note block here and place a normal piston below it. This will bud update on a falling this will bud update this dropper with an item on its falling edge. So if we fire this now, you can see that the item stays in here, but then on the retraction this piston will retract immediately and the item will get shot up. So that will power, that will unpower this on a falling edge, and then this will trigger the entire triple piston extender closing. So basic triple torch, 2-tick, 2 dusts, and then here we have a dropper firing itself with 2 unstackable items in it and a dust, and that will get red here into there. Alternatively, you could use 2 normal items and then put this on subtract mode, but I don't care. And yeah, you know, this needs to be a hopper. Usually in these setups you have a dummy container here, which doesn't matter, but since this is constantly locked, you need 3 hoppers. And yeah, if we actually just fire this right now, you will there's the extension and then the refraction. Perfect. So by the way, in some locations this dust right here, so in this location the item from this dropper will go straight into this one. If you don't get this, you need to put an extra item in this dropper. That's just the way that this dust is locational. It doesn't matter, you just need an extra item. And on the note, I forgot to mention down here, if this right here, this dust pointing into these 2 pistons breaks, so this is the thing I mentioned earlier of this one, you can make this one a note block and it will always fire the bottom one. Actually, maybe this is a spot where this breaks. Okay, never mind. Whatever. Just make this a note block if this fails, and put an extra item in this one if this fails. So yeah, about that. Yeah, so we have an item in this dropper, we have an item in this dropper, and then we have the item in the starting dropper under the pressure plate. Because this is just gonna loop back into here. This is actually a dummy container. This can be any container. If you use a dropper, this will make a fuck ton of noise, so it will make some noise, so you could just put a chest. And yeah, that's the 1 item loop up here. And then for the extension, right, because the well, we get an extension of the pistons into the doorway. We need to one-tick the pistons inside the doorway. So we're gonna have a line of dust right here, which we will fire. So if we extend this for now, you can see that, well, if we keep this extended, we are right here. We need to now one-tick these two. Well, we need to one-tick all of them, but the third one is separate from these two, so yeah. So we want to power this with a single strength of 1, so it just so happens to be that we can place just a normal thing right here, and that will work. And then we want to cut this off with a cyan, and into a monostable for a one-tick for... and what that will do is one-tick the outer one. So as you can see, these one-ticked. And I can do that again. And they will get grabbed back. And then 2 ticks later, we want to fire this piston. And that will power this one tick, and that will fire the other. You can see that now all of these one ticked. And because, as you can see, this powered, because this dot is powering that, we want a redirection right here. So you can either use a trap chest or, like me, a turbo to point that into there, and then this won't fuck up. So once again, if we power this, outer one ticks, middle one ticks, and then for the inner one we're gonna have to use a completely different circuit, like a completely different part of the circuit, so our work here is done for now. And when I say our work here is done for now, I mean nothing really is done right now. So where are the items? In there, and there, and in there. Why is there no item in there? Where the fuck is the item? One is in here, yeah, right. So if we just replace that item back, and you should fire now, please. Perfect. So for the inner one, we need to wait a bit because the both this thing needs to, like these pistons need to retract into the wall, and then when they're into the wall, they need to grab these, and then this can one tick. So this needs like what, 14 ticks of delay or something, and even more than that. So we're gonna get to the other side of this and place a stupid facing upwards with a block, and this dust will power this block and keep it extended because it butts the other thing through this block anyways. So 2 4 ticks, a dust on a slab into another 4 tick, into block up, into a 2 tick, and another tick, and a block with a no block to but update the thing. And in here we're gonna place a monostable, but not just a sticky pist monostable, because this one tick will make that useless basically, so we're gonna need a sand one tick. So place a gravity block, which isn't the dragon egg or the anvil, on top of this one, please. I'm just gonna use purple sand or concrete powder because, you know, color coding. And now that will one tick all 3 of them. I'm not gonna show that now because it won't actually one tick them unless the bottom also does its thing. Just, you know, trust me on that one. We're gonna go back to this later. So after we're done one ticking and this has retracted, obviously it's time to fire this cyan triple. So we're gonna do cyan now. Cyan has these inputs right here, and we're gonna extend this one by 1 and give it a torch burnout right here. Make sure you take out this item before you do anything, otherwise you're gonna fuck up a bunch. So we want a burnout right here. So this isn't supposed to happen, so we need an updater piston right here. And then this will work. Well, I say fine, but you know what I mean. And then we need a piston with a redstone block right here, and that's gonna power that one. I noticed that this should be cyan, but I made it purple, so this should be cyan, I guess. And this is also a door frame block, so make sure that this is like emerald or something if you want this to look smooth. So from here you want 2 1 ticks coming from here into a block into blocks. power rails to update the torch here from all the way up here. So if we place a block right here, a 1 tick, another slab with a dust on this, the entire top triple works now. So if we give this an 8 or a 10 tick pulse, button is conveniently 10, we'll see that all of the triple boost extenders work perfectly. Shoutouts to Arma for showing me this, and he copied it from, I don't know, someone invented this, shoutouts to them. It really, really helps a lot that one burnout controls all of this. So, yeah, to power Cyan, we need to give this line an 8 or a 10 tick pulse, and to do that we just, well, we give it a 10 tick, but like, so, this thing right here conveniently stays on as I showed earlier, so this will stay on and that will give us the room to have a slider right here. Or like the consistency to have an airless slider right here. Because we're gonna slide in a cauldron from right here. With water in it, obviously. And make sure this is water level 3, otherwise yeah, you're gonna have a problem. We're gonna read this cauldron right here, but this is way too early, obviously. This would fire all before the thing's even wanting. So we want this to be negated by a hopper clock right here, which fits perfectly into here. And this is gonna have, well, it's gonna be locked by this redstone block. And then it's gonna have a shovel, and then a shovel, and then 7 items in it. The shovel on the front is so that it instantly turns off when the items return into here, and the shovel in the back is so that this turns on in one go and not like with strings 1 and then 2 and then 3, because that would fuck up. So yeah, that's, I mean, basic hopper time. I should do a video on this sometimes. And then, yeah, we're gonna push this back with 2 4 ticks and then a piston in here, pushing the thing into this and then returning everything nicely. And this will conveniently fire this last dropper, returning the item, so it prevents this from looping. And now that that's done, we can place the item back in here. Actually, we shouldn't, because now we're gonna build yellow, and yellow is gonna do stuff. So after we've pushed this down, as you can see, we need the tape to fire again to close this off. And the way we do that is a clock in this very room right here. So what this is gonna do, we're gonna place a dummy block transparent right here for now. Right there, with a comparator on top. Because this right here is gonna be the composter, or a hopper if you don't choose to use a composter, with a clip minecart inside, but we will get to that when we get to that, okay? So this is gonna be the part of the tutorial where you might want to kill yourself if you if you're doing this without World Editor or something. So place water in there, and we want a comparator reading this into this 4 tick. Because we have an item loop right here, which is powered by 2 minecarts, so yeah. One of them is going to be clipped into this 4 tick hopper. I'm going to show you this clip once for this one. It's the exact same technique you were going to use to clip this one in and this one in if you're building this without World Edit. I'm going to use World Edit because it makes life a lot easier and cuts around half an hour from the tutorial time, which is just boring repetition. Alright, so you have a hopper with, you have a hopper with a repeater on it, or a hopper with a comparator on it, like right there. You want to get your building blocks and start building under it, like a staircase, like this. So what you want is, you're gonna place a normal rail under it, you're gonna place 3 powered rails on top of it, above it, and then 5 below it, but the 5th one is flat, so 4 diagonal, 1 flat, and then you power that. So what you want to do next is place a chest right there, and a furnace minecart, or any minecart I guess, right there. You're gonna walk up to this chest. That's gonna move the furnace minecart just a tiny bit. Then you want to place a chest minecart here. Now that's stuck. That's partially stuck in the hopper still, or composter. And then you want a flower pot. And you're gonna break this rail right here and replace it with a flower pot as fast as you can. So now the thing is stuck on the flower pot, and we can just push this up with a soul sand. Shoutouts to Ama for explaining me this, and just in general being the guy when it comes to entities. And there we go, we have a minecart stuck inside this hopper, but we can still place stuff under it. So this will be so right here, right? We have our thing. So this item can flow into the chest minecart, into this hopper, but there's still a comparator under it, and there's still a repeater here. So that's called cheating, by the way, and it's what we're gonna do right here. But I showed you it here. We need to place rails like all the way through this, so you need to break this block, you need to break all of this. So if you want to do that, that's your problem. I'm just not gonna do it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use even more cheating and gonna use world edit, or like vanilla world edit, which sucks because for world edit I need forge, and with forge this breaks, as I told you millions of times already. So I'm just gonna say slash set block that one soul sand, and then I'm gonna say hopper facing east, and then I'm gonna go to this block and say slash set block repeater delay equals 4 facing equals west. There we go. Don't ask me why a hopper facing so this hopper facing that way is facing east, but this repeater is facing west. So the repeater is just like apparently facing that way. So just like whatever. So yeah, we need a clipped minecart chest inside that and that, because this is gonna put items through there into here. And then we want a normal minecart. Oops, shit. We just want a normal minecart right here with a running against a fence post, like so. And then push that block down and replace this dust. So what this does, if we lock this with a torch from down here, which is conveniently also above the tape thing. So if we place 2 items in this one, and then we fire this one with a pulse from a item passing by, you will see that this will perfectly close the tape, except there was another item stuck in there. Oops. So oh yeah, this thing pointed downwards. I'm retarded. So this is actually pointing into there. So if we repeat that experiment with these 2 items, which I just took out, if we just put 2 items in here, and then let we just repeat that experiment with an item now, you will see that this fires exactly 3 times, which is just what we need. And then I'm gonna just like fix this, I guess. So that's the yellow clock, and which fits perfectly into here. Now that well, whatever. So the way we power this, because we only need to power this every second time cyan fires, actually with another item loop, which is this one. So we want a dropper tower right here. And warning, this will trigger the burnout, so once again, please take out this item or you're going to have a huge mess. So this right here is a dropper facing outwards, like into here. And then a dropper facing upwards, and then this is going to be a hopper with the detector right on top. And that is going to face into two downwards facing droppers. So if we just test this, right, we have a stone button up there. There's no item in there currently because that got spit out. If there is an item in this dropper when we start, oh, I guess this could be yellow. If there's an item in here when we start this, you can see it will fire the tape loop afterwards. And it only loops once because the items are still stuck in here because orange hasn't reset these items yet, but yeah, whatever. Everything will work out, trust me. And then then the item will get stuck in this one. And then if we fire this again, this won't fire because, well, obviously, duh. So now the item is stuck in here. And then purple fires, which then puts the item in here, and then this one fires again, firing the bottom again. So yeah, that's how that works. The item is currently stuck in there. If it's closed like opened like this one. So now we can replace this item and are done with the top, really, because that's everything in the top. So if we are actually ready to fire this for now. And we go up. And there's the one tick. This one will fail because the bottom didn't update it. Because the bottom doesn't work yet. And then I forgot to place this block. And there we go. And then for the opening also works, even though this doesn't, like, this is a mess right now. Because, okay, well, those don't, but you see this also works, and then it will get pushed down again. And then the tape will fire. So now everything is done besides the bottom item loop. Or the bottom one ticking, which will be an item loop. Because you may remember this comparator, which is currently not doing anything. But let me just show you over here that what we are about to build is all of these entities are just one item loop. So the items go from here up to here, all the way through here, through the doorway, back and down again. It's a mess. Here's just the entities, right? This one is in the slider. This one is in the slider. These two are yellow. These three are brown. And then these are all purple. And this boat. So yeah, this is the part where you want to get the nearest ladder and some rope if you're building this without world edit. Because yeah, whatever. So we're gonna need some extra pulses. So bottom purple, top purple fires 3 times, right? Bottom purple will fire 6 times because it only needs, well, the first pulse right here you see is when the brown fires upwards. So that's pulse number 1, and then we're gonna need 3 pulses for the one ticking, but the timing on the pulses don't actually line up perfectly. If we can only create a clock, and the clock is not in on the same wavelength as the triples, so the one pulse will be ghosted or won't hit anything, and then another pulse will cause a mess with this budded tape part, because this will actually be a problem. This also causes problems but updating this thing if we're not careful enough, which is why you can't just simply add a 1 tick here, because then the timing will fuck up everything. Anyways, I'm rambling again. So let's just start. So the first thing which we will need is 1 extra pulse for the first one, which will be 1 ticking this one to here, and then 1 ticking this one forward. That one will be actually delivered from this empty space right here, because I'm using everything I can get. So place a thing right here, place a block right here. This for resource management, you could place a block here with a furnace there, but I forgot to do that. Same thing applies to this one, I guess. And then a thing right here. And then a dust. And then an item in there, and that fires this comparator. So, eagle-eyed viewers will realize, what the fuck is this? 1.16 is gonna be mad. If you are in 1.16, just do this. The fix for this is placing this torch like this. But this, first off, this makes this budded tape actually double locational, because now this dust updating this torch or that torch first determines if this will just clock endlessly or be a stable tape path. And then to prevent that, we're gonna have to, we can't get rid of the dust because as I just explained, this will fuck up this one and everything. So we're gonna have to do a different blue. And I have a different blue, but that's also like double location. And yeah, so if you're 1.16, just do this. It's not worth the effort, trust me. Let me see this. There we go. That should be everything reset, I hope. And yeah. So let's continue with the bottom item loop. So now this will give us our first, second pulse, I guess. So the first pulse is the pressure plate powering this thing, dragging everything. And then this thing pulling down will just happen to turn this off simultaneously when the budded tape half fires from this piston power bud updating everything. So this thing will only give out one pulse into the thing for now. This obviously only fires if both the tape and this happen to be in action at the same time, which will only happen twice out of the 6 pulses. So yeah. Next up we have, well, this thing gets into action now. So yeah, break this block because this is actually a double dropper. So one facing up, one facing inwards into this hopper. And this is another of those safety minecarts, which isn't necessary, but yeah, just in case a player is nearby, you could grab the item being spit out, you know, and put a note block in there. The note block is actually needed for this dust to update the dropper through this note block. And then you also want another purple sand, because well, right now there is no problem reading the item, but when this gets pulled down, this comparator couldn't read that, so just place a sand on top of that. Next up, this is going to put the item into this dropper facing upwards, which is going to put the item into this dropper facing upwards with a dust. And now this is your next clip minecart. This right here needs to be a clip minecart into this block with a comparator on top of it. Again, this is the composter or the hopper. So we are gonna place this shit into here now with a fence as a distance keeper. And push it. And now you would need to build the rail from here to down here if you were to clip it in without using this. But yeah, I'm not gonna bother. So I'm just gonna give this the composter. The reason this is a composter is actually composters is because, well, A, it's made from just wood, so it's cheaper from a resource perspective, but also the step with the flower pot can be skipped if it's a composter, because composters have different hitbox, like sub hitboxes than hoppers, I guess. So yeah, the minecart will just sit there. And then you can push it up with a soul sand. You don't need to worry about it falling down, so you don't need to quickly place a flower pot. Anyways, what is this? This is facing east? No, west. Oops. Tabbed out. West. Fuck off. West. That's west, yeah. So that's another clip minecart. And hold on. Okay, I somehow tabbed out in a weird way because I accidentally pressed like control and some, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, so that's another clip minecart, and then we want to well, we want to get an item from this dropper right here. This can't be a hopper, by the way, because this block is permanently like powered, and when this isn't powered, this torch right here is going to power it. So if this were a hopper, this would never ever suck. So we're limited. But yeah, we're gonna get the item into this hopper somehow, just like apparently, you know. So this is where the bullshit starts. This right here is gonna be the part with the boat. So we can break a bunch of this for now. So we want a boat transportation. Give me the boat. Right there. Well, as there as it will allow you, I guess. So we want a boat, and on top of this boat is gonna sit a hopper minecart, which is high enough for this hopper to suck from the hopper minecart, but low enough for the hopper minecart to suck from this chest. Yeah, so you're gonna want a block right here and place your hopper minecart on top of this. Rail, very important step. Break this glass block because you want a normal piston facing into that, and just put a lever on the side and fire. That's gonna one-tick it. That's gonna make this thing floaty in that direction. If you don't know float numbers are the way the game handles decimal points and also do it in this direction. The computer handles numbers with a decimal point. So for example, your coordinates right now, my y coordinate is 13.99867. That's stored as a float point inside. And float points have rounding errors. So this card right now, if we press Ctrl B, as you can see, this card is well, it's a tiny bit off to the right. If I place if I do it up here as a demonstration, right? If we just get a normal card, you can see that the white box is. If I do it right here, you can see that the white box is. You can see it's like a bit away from the edge of the glass, right? And then if we break the rail and do the floatiness, you see it moved over to where the white box is almost perfectly right there, almost perfectly on the block edge. And what this does is, oops, that didn't. Oops. So what this does is I can place a block right here, but a hopper right here will detect this and suck the item. And we did that in two directions here because first off, this hopper needs to suck from this, so it needs to be floaty towards the hopper. But then this minecart needs to suck this minecart, so it needs to be floaty in that direction. So if we place an item in here, you will see it gets sucked into this hopper. Shoutouts to Arma, I would have never figured this out. And then just replace everything you've just read. Except you're gonna need a bunch of dummy minecarts now, because otherwise this stuff moves all around the place. Because this thing is floaty in that direction and that direction. That means it's also floaty into this corner right here. And that means this piston pushing up will push up the thing. And we can't have that, so we need an extra minecart which prevents that from happening, because if there's an extra minecart on top of there, nothing moves, as you can see. And that's the majority of all of those minecarts. They're just there so other minecarts don't move. Yeah, so once you've done that, you can completely rebuild everything, except, well, you're gonna have a hard time rebuilding everything, so... Oops. Wool, please. So you need a block there with dust. And then... No, wait, this had the torch. And then this block also had a torch. And then there was another block on top of this with a torch here. And then this had a torch block. Actually, I just realized this could have powered the floor and this was completely unnecessary. And therefore, this entire yellow thing could have been a whole lot easier. Oh my god, I hate my life right now. Anyways, yeah, and then there was another block right there for a comparator, and then these torches, and then everything is fine again. Alright, so that's clip number 1. Clip number 2. So this thing is gonna... Now we got the item from here into this hopper. And then we need to put a cart into this area. So what you want to do is get a fence post and push that into here. Like so. Oops. So you want a fence in there. This fence is here so that the minecart we're going to place won't... so this thing pushing over the tape will push this minecart, and so that it stops right here because... Well, right there, because the fence hitbox will stop it from falling off the hopper. So you need a fence right there. The reason this hopper minecart doesn't need that is because, well, it has a solid block next to it, so it can't go anywhere. So this is the next one you want to clip a minecart in. So this time you'd want the rails coming from up here all the way to down here, and you want a minecart in here. Like so, I guess. Give me the fence and then put that in there. This is actually just a regular clip, so this can just be set block soul sand and then slash set block hopper facing north, I think. North. Yeah, north. And then, well, you need to replace these with a piston because otherwise you can't place blocks there. So if we just fire this once, see that this should have been pushed over. Alright, so we need to manually push it over because of this block right here. This block right here actually stops this from being pushed. So if we just break that, it will get pushed over, and then we can push this back down manually. Alright, so next problem, just like this one bedding pushed up, which I forgot to place the thing for. We're gonna need another furnace minecart, right? Shit. Like so. Just like this furnace minecart to stop this one from bouncing, we are gonna need a furnace minecart on top of this to stop this from actually going up into the floor. Or like from clipping out of the hopper because of the brown turbo piston extender, because that will obviously slide up all of this glass. That will slide up that one as well. So you need a stopping minecart on top of that to prevent that from happening. Okay, we're almost done. We only need like 5 more minecarts. So this hopper facing to the left will have to loop back to the bottom dropper of here. So we have a a hopper facing key into that under this comparator actually. That's also why this brown dust goes to here and we don't just power all of the line, because well, we need a solid block for that and the hopper would not power it like this. So how do we get the item from up here to there? Well, that's not an issue. The issue, we could just put this facing downwards with a minecart on it. The issue we have is, this is a closed loop, right? If this is a closed loop, this will loop forever. So this needs to be an interrupted loop. How the fuck do we interrupt this? Well, we're gonna place a minecart inside this block, which will get pushed up by the slider, so that the loop is broken, and then when this gets pushed back down, it will reset all the items properly. Oh my god. So we want a... inside this very block, we want 2 minecarts. So we want a dummy minecart. Oh, yeah, don't... wait. What? Oh. Yeah, so... about that. I would have to redo that one. We want 2 furnace minecarts in here for just the height. A minecart is 0.7 blocks tall, so 0.7, 1.4. If we place another one on top of that, that's 2.1. That's perfect, because we want to get from this block to into this block using only minecarts. So we need to work with as much space as we can. So on top of this is going to be one of those floaty carts, but it's gonna be floated only to the right this time. So break the rail, 0 tick this, and then just drop that in. So if we just put an item there, it will get up sucked into here. Replace this thing, and place the dust inside there. And then we want another couple of minecarts. So on Synergy, these actually were different like distances, but then that would break. So I had a bug where the minecarts were sitting on like a chest difference, so like 1/16, I guess, of block difference. And when everything worked fine, and then I reloaded the world, so I saved and well, quit the world and re-entered it, and the thing would just clip into each other and go everywhere, so we don't want that. So we're gonna use a cobblestone wall to align the first hopper minecart, which is gonna sit on top of that. And then we are gonna use a normal fence one to do the other one, and that should stay consistent and stay in place, so that they don't sit on like a pixel on each other, and much more. I hope any of what I'm saying makes sense. It's 3 in the morning, it's almost 4 in the morning. And then just replace all of this, and replace and rebuild this one facing into this one. So we had a chest minecart, fence post, push it, do flip, or use world edit, facing north, no facing north this time, push it over, and then push this down, and then place a furnace on top of this, because otherwise we push it up. And then rebuild all of this. So this one, and then 2 toward there, and 2 blocks on top of that. I'm retarded. And there we go. So that's the item loop. If we just quickly run over this again. So the first time this thing fires, it's gonna be from this one, right? Gonna push up the normal pistons from here, and then the slider. Next, this thing turning off and the tape happen to just have the perfect timing for this thing to fire once. This is gonna fire once. There are 4 items in this bottom one, and there is 1 item in the hopper, and there is 1 item in this hopper minecart. So 6 items in total. These 2 are just stored. They don't go anywhere. They're just like stations which are constantly full. Anyway, so these 4 items are going places. So the first time this fires everything, well, as I said, the normal pistons right here fire, the slider fires, and then the first item from the bottom one will go into the middle one, into the top dropper, this one, from the bottom and the top, and then this thing happens to have the perfect timing to fire, which is why this is all difficult to get rid of and stuff. You know, I've talked about this. And then the second pulse from this one will put the item from the top dropper into this minecart, into this hopper, which will get read through here into there into firing this one. Again, so that's the... Also, it will put another item from the bottom one in the middle one. So that's the second one. That's the third pulse. This is the first, this is the second, and then this is the fourth and fifth. And sixth. But the sixth and seventh are actually... Okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So the first one is going to push all of these up, right? The second one is there to do the one ticking right here. So one tick this one tick up. The next one is going to grab this and one tick this one. And then the triple retracts, grabbing the thing back into here. And then here's the issue. So the next pulse from this clock, because of the wavelength thing I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you know resonance and whatever. The next pulse of the one ticking will happen right as this retracts. So the next pulse is dead. It doesn't do anything. But the next one after this, so the third item, is gonna one tick this one. So that's gonna one tick. But that will then fuck up with this thing being reset and this thing then unlocking this thing again. Which I didn't want, but there was no way around it. So that's the second time this fires, one ticking this again, and you see that's kinda didn't do anything, so I am fucked. So I need a fourth item in this to then one tick this again, and then everything works. And that will also update the top one. So if everything is alright and nothing fucked up, something probably fucked up, I will fire this now. Oh my fucking god, 70 minutes later we have a working door. So I can probably demonstrate a couple of things real quickly. This one. So these items are here. These shouldn't be here. These are our 4 items. Our 4 items should be back down here. There are 2 here because this is the one from the hopper minecart, and this is the one from the hopper, and then the other 2 can just go into this minecart and they're gonna suck now. So, remember how I said that these furnace minecarts are here to keep these chests from getting moved by other pistons, which we don't want them moving? Yeah, there's another one in here. So, this thing got pulled up by the cauldron. So, set block, that one soul sand, and the composter, and then the one above was a comparator facing east, I think. No, west. West. That was the thing about them having a different direction. So then we want another thing in there. So we're just gonna like push this down and place a rail and push a furnace into there, I guess. Come on, all the way, please. There we go. And now if we just place a dummy block right here, this shouldn't move. Yeah, this no longer moves, so everything is fine. Yeah, so place the thing, place the water, and now we have a fully working door. So if we just fill up the door frame to make this look better, like so. We can fire this again. So keep an eye on this chest minecart, right? So this chest minecart is gonna get pushed up with the slider. And then the bottom item loop happens. The items are gonna stack up in here. And then it gets pushed back down and the items can flow back into here, and that's how I break up the loop. This was the idea I had in a fucking dream. I don't know, don't ask me. Initially this was like pointing into this torch and then like down here, and then stuff happened. But yeah, I had this idea in a dream. It turned out it worked nice. You might have noticed that the animation is super ugly on the bottom one, because this, as I explained, one ticks 3 times. So just a neat thing to show, right? If there's one item in here, we get oh, this is gonna break, this is gonna break, this is bad, this is bad, don't, okay. Yeah. Alright, we're back. So, if we put one item in there, as you saw, it will one tick all of these, and it will ignore that one. So that actually wasn't the one which breaks, it was the one with the 2 items in here. So now we have 2 items in here because the hopper won't, this one doesn't have an item anymore. So yeah, actually I'm confused, where's the third? Is the third still in the, okay, so there's one. And then if we place another item back there. So you saw one item do it cleanly with this one. I can demonstrate this again. If you just put one item, this is clean. There you go, clean triple, everything works fine. But, oh yeah, this, everything's fine now. Yeah, everything's fine now. So that's one item. If we put another item, well, there are 2 in there now. And then this is empty, and then that one is full. Okay. So if we put 2 items in there, you will see the thing where one tick. It doesn't do anything because it fired while this was pulling. So that's 2 items. And if we put in 3 items with these being still intact, there we go. And then the hopper should also still have 1. If we put in 3 items, this one will get 1 tick twice because of the because of this thing firing once again. So if you keep an eye out for this comparator and that one simultaneously, I don't know if you can do that, you will see that that comparator fires again, and this one, you saw it was inside the frame and it stayed inside the frame, so it 1 tick twice. So that's why we need a 4th item in here, and the 4th item is actually what causes the spazzing of everything. Where the fuck did the 4th item come from? Hold on. 1, empty, 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 empty. The hopper has 1. The minecart hopper has 1. I am confused. But yeah, there are now 4 items in the loop, hopefully, and everything will work as intended one last time. So now you can see 1, 2, 3, and then everything works. And then one last opening. Again, the 1.16 will have the lower right corner from my perspective currently altered, or rather have a Ryer running outside of its like actual size box thing, whatever. because there is a fix. I'm not showing it in this video because this is already 1 minute 20 long, and yeah. If you're 1.16, just do this. If you are in a location where this is the location of this block right here, can be a node block, and that will solve the issue. And up here you might need an extra item, and the rest is double locational, directional, don't run forage, and yeah. I showed you the clip, and you have to deal with everything. Here's one last look at this mess, because it's just fun. These two, and then these three, and then these two, and then there's just... yeah. Thanks for watching. Again, special shoutouts to Arma, to Space, to Lego Fan, to my dreams, and yeah. Bye.